Okay, so the recording has been started. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the configuration for the rates and packages for today. Right, so let's start off the day by figuring out what are the elements or what are the things that we're going to configure in the system with regards to this topic. Right, so for today, basically what we are going to focus on is the certain topics, which are the non-room items, right? Non-room items are those elements that we're going to configure in the system for numerous purposes. One is the bundle or the package elements that is going to be included in the room rates. And the other one is the items that we're going to um, track through inventory, just like your extra bed that can be added on top of the reservation with or without an extra charge. But on top of that, we're going to monitor the inventory movements of these items. Non-room bundle are the combination of non-room items, wherein this mainly is called the package elements, right? Once the non-room items are being bundled up, that's the only time that we can use those bundle as part of our room rates to be as a package element to be sold to the guests. Same goes with the meal plan. We can configure a non-room item or a non-room bundle as a meal plan, right? Meaning a certain bundle or an item can be a meal plan, just like the breakfast, half board, or full board, and that can be added on the reservation as part of the package or as an individual item as on top of the room rate. And we will go next to the room rate, which we have discussed earlier that we have several types of room rates, having said as a um, base rate, adjust baseline rate, package rate, and also the best available rate in the system. Right, we're also going to discuss about our special rates, which is only offered in US dollars, right? And finally, we're going to be touching a little bit on the manual rate adjustment and bar features of HMS, right? So the last few items right here on the list would be just a recap of our initial discussion with the rate and sales on the global codes. Okay, now to start off, we'll focus first on the non-room item. Let me just pull out the configuration sheets that we have. All right, so let me just go to the index and look for the non-room item. Okay. All right, so currently we have this few listed non-room items right here, and I'm going to pick one or two items right here that I can configure to show you guys how do we do it, and the rest would be I'll leave it to the property to be configured. Right, so let me just pick up one item right here. Okay, let me just start off with the extra bed. Okay. Before we start, basically, let me just recap on this one because we have a breakfast, adult, and child right here separately, right? So we can actually configure just one breakfast item, and we can override the rate within within the package. But also we can do this one as what we're seeing here in the screen that we're going to separate what is the breakfast for adult and for child, right? But going further with the child, we do have some items or some child category in the system wherein we're going to actually give a free breakfast or zero rated breakfast for a child 4 years old below, right? So in that case, let me just pick up one item right here called breakfast adult. And to configure this one in HMS, we will go to the menu called rate and sales, pricing, Then down below here, we have the non-room item. Right, so this is the screen that we're going to go to first when we're going to enter the non-room item. Let me just expand the screen and see a better view. Okay, so item, we'll just put the codes as been set in the configuration workbook. Same goes as here. And additional description, you can copy the same or you can leave this one as blank. It is purely optional. Okay. Now going to the rate itself. Okay. Right, so currently we don't have any exact rate or we don't have any rates.
Joshua, there is no rates because it doesn't allow us to input high numbers in Vietnam Dong. Your file somehow starts speaking French to us when we go to high.
Oh, maybe it's just a setup of the Excel. But please let me know for the price for the breakfast, adult.
Yes, let me just calculate quickly. It's 15 USD, but in Vietnam Dong, I need to calculate just 1 second. There's a 350 to 500. And now, sorry, is plus plus. Do we have to set up net here also if we set up the rates net?
Yes, the final rate.
Okay, sorry, what was that, Tim? It's 403,672.50. Let's say 403,672.
403,672. Right. Okay, so we have the rate here for the adult. And then the next field is we're going to select only transaction code for the posting code right here. So we're going to post this amount against the transaction code breakfast. Oh, that's let me just check once again. I think it's package.
Can you check 2001 or something like that?
No, breakfast food. Okay. Okay, 2001 it is. Okay, and going down here is the meal period. This is going to be used very important, especially if we're doing a non-room item that is including meal or there is a meal to tag on the meal period for the reporting to work properly. So we'll just tag here breakfast, and the department is purely optional, right? Let me just put here as food and beverage. And finally, before we're saving this one is that we're going to set this non-room item based on the posting mechanics. How do you want this item to be posted? When we say EOD to post or EOD post, this means that it is going to be posted by the night audit, right? If this is blank, then it's going to be the users going to be posting this item manually instead. Right, so we're just going to take here EOD to post, right? Once this is ticked, the rest of the items would now be grayed out, right, from here. But if we're allowing this item, or we are setting this item for a manual posting, we can also do that one, right? But this time around, this is going to be in consumption basis. It means this can be added to the reservation itself on top of the rate, right? At a fixed rate of 403,672, right? And it's going to take this posting to be posted directly in the guest folio. But if there is no posting that is going to be posted in the guest folio manually, we can now set the unconsumed transaction code offset. It means if this item has not been posted, what is the transaction code to be consumed for this rate? We can set that one up right here. And also we can set an allowance wherein if the posting is more than, or we're giving an allowance basis, if the posting is more than the set amount, we can set a allowance transaction code with a threshold of how much that posting can be accepted, right? If we set here 500,000, right, the system will still post, right, 403,000, but at the back end, the excess of this amount will be posted under the allowance transaction code offset. The same mechanics as discount code, right? We'll be having two separate one, allowance and discount. The same process is going to be used by the discount, but instead we're just having a separate field for that one for reporting purposes to actually know if this is a discount or allowance based, right? But most of the property, straightforward, they will just going to use EOD to post, right? Because in this case, we were adding this one on the package. Okay. Now, so going down below in the transaction code controls or transaction controls, we can set this item to be as add-on. When we say add-on, your fixed charges. You can add this one on top of the room rate by just clicking available as add-on, right? And you can set here the posting frequency. If you want this posting to be posted each day, following the EOD post mechanics, each day or once. Floating for inclusive property, we will be having more developments in the system in HMS to accommodate floating posting in the future versions, right? But currently in inclusive setup, floating would not be used for now. That will be coming in future versions, right? But the only thing that we're going to use here in the posting frequency is each day and once, right? When we say each day, then it's going to be a daily posting of this amount right here that is indicated. Once is being posted in the system only once on the first night of the consumption, right? So for breakfast, let me just take this one as each day, right? Allow override posting frequency during the reservation stage. If I want the user to change the posting frequency instead of charging the guest every day, I want it just once, then I can tick this one to give the user to the privilege or the access to change the posting frequency, right? But for breakfast, let me just put it as not allowed to override. Pricing control, we can set this one by the, since this is per adult, by the occupant, right? So we have a specific rate here that I'm charging this one per adult. Again, we have also the access to, for the user to override the posting control right here or the pricing control, right? But since I'm quite, um, um, since the item is pretty much straightforward that this is only for the adult, I wouldn't be touching this, right? Unless if, let's say this is an extra bed, right? And you have different rates for extra bed, but let's say in the list right here, oh, we have extra bed adult right here, right? Let's say this is not titled as adult. Let's just put it as extra bed, just for example, right? And we need to put an extra bed for kids for 12 to 16, right? And this extra bed is with a charge of 50% of that adult rate, right? I can have one single item, extra bed, but then again, I'm going to override the pricing control from the reservation stage that I'm going to post this rate or this add-on based on the child 12 years old to 16. I can also do that one. And finally, if I want the user to override the rate itself instead of pricing this rate, right, I can have it as allow override of pricing of unit price, right? This gives the chance to the user to change the rate itself on the reservation stage, right? So let me just untick this one just for this breakfast package, and finally click on save. Right? So this is just a configuration of a basic breakfast um, non-room item. Now, I haven't touched yet on the inventory, and that's what we're going to do now with our extra bed. Let's see, for extra bed, I'm going to create a new one by clicking on the new record right here. In the item code, put that extra bed adult. Um, would somebody help me with the price?
Sorry, do you remember out of your head what we said for that extra adult? Is it $90?
No, not in my head. I'm again opening it up right now.
Okay, I'll check.
It is 1,631,000.
Is it before taxes or after taxes?
Including taxes.
Including taxes. All right. Okay, so I have the extra bed right here with the price, and going down below here in the transaction control. Let me just collapse this one to have a better view right here. Okay, so this is available as add-on, so I can add this one any time of the day within the reservation, and it's going to be posted each day. Now here in the pricing control, I would like to set my extra bed to be put as per room, not per adult, right? Why is that so? For example, you have a reservation for 2 adults, right? Now, and they for reservation for 3 adults, right? And now they want to have an extra bed in the room, one extra bed. If I'm going to put this one per adult, right? It means since there are 3 occupants or 3 adults in the room, this price right here will be multiplied into 3 automatically by the system, right? But once I use per room, then I have the chance to just indicate how many units I'm going to place inside the room without multiplying it per occupant, right? So it's different approach when we go with, let's say, breakfast, because it's directly per adult, because we have a different rate, right, for that one. But extra bed in this case would be for item specific posting, not per occupant count, right? Now also, I will be having a chance to put in, let's say, what do you call this? I can give the extra bed for free or at 50% off. What I'm going to do is to allow the user to override the unit price by clicking this item right here, right? And I'm going to save this non-room item, right? And how do I track the inventory out of this, right? Now to track your inventory, we have to use this item or this tick box called inventory controlled, right? Once I have ticked this one, the system will ask me for the initial inventory count, right, of extra bed. right? So for this example, let me just put in 15. But if you have anything in mind, just let me know. And for the overbooking option, I have three options right here. If I'm allowing this um, extra bed to be overbooked, right, without any warning, I can click allowed. Allowed with warning is that the system will still accept overbooking, but the system will warn you that there's no more extra bed in the inventory on those dates that you have selected. And finally, we have here not allowed at all, right? Just click on not allowed and click on save. And let's say for this extra bed, you can put here the additional description like 50% for child. What was that? Child 12 to 16. FOC for infant and 4 years old. Right? Just additional details in there. Right. Now, any questions before we jump to the inventory from the property?
Well, sorry, not. But for example, for breakfast, all our breakfasts are inclusive, or all our rates are inclusive of breakfast. So the breakfast should be a minus split from the rate.
Yeah. Yes, it's going to be deducted. It's going to be deducted from the room rate itself. So that's going to be handled by the non-room bundles, wherein we're going to use this non-room item not as an add-on, but it's going to be a non-room bundle meal plan to be attached with the rate directly. So let me just check on this breakfast right here. And in that case, I'm going to untick this one so that this breakfast would not be offered as an add-on. Okay, we're going to touch that one a little bit later with a package rate later down the road. Right. Okay, now for extra bed inventory, since I have set a 15 inventory count right here, let's say in the middle of the operation and there is some inventory adjustment that the property needs to do. Let's say after 1 week, one of your extra bed is damaged and you need to take it out of the inventory, right? We have the inventory options right here for revenue managers or for reservation managers to adjust the inventory count of this item. To do that is that we're going to this tab right here, and let's say from this list right here, you can see that from October 16 onwards, the property would have 15 inventory count altogether, right? If I open up the calendar by just clicking on this availability right here, you would notice from 16 onwards, there are 15 available extra bed in the property. Available, inventory, and sold, right? If I add this extra bed to the reservation itself, then it's going to be, the number will flow up right here and reduce from the inventory, depleting the availability count. Now let's say on October, let's put it 18, right? I would be reducing my inventory from 15 to 14. I'll be taking one of my inventory out. What I can do is select the date from here and put the final inventory count, not the adjustment, but the inventory count itself. 14, right? And let's say this reduction of the inventory only applies for 2 days. Then I have to put it back to 15. Set the date again. Date was 18. And on the 20th, I'll be putting it back to 15 inventory, right? Again, when we are using the inventory adjustment, this pertains to the final inventory count, not the adjustment itself. Well, try to visit again the availability screen right here, and you would notice that on the 17th, right, 18th and 19th, there are, sorry, 18th and 19th, there are inventory adjustment right here. From 15, the inventory has been reduced to 14 and being put back on the 20th, right? Only for 2 days repair. You can also open up the legends right here if you are not familiar of the color scheme and the icons in HMS. You can see here that the green numbers shows the available inventory, right? If the notification icon here says this one, the red hazard sign means this inventory would not be allowed for overbooking. Right? Let me just delete this inventory adjustment also, right? You can delete the inventory adjustment as soon as the night audit haven't passed that date, right? But if you haven't had a chance to adjust inventory on that date, of course, you can still do the adjustment from here, add up or increase your inventory and save the data. Any questions with the inventory? Okay. So I'm not hearing any questions, so we'll just move on forward. Also for baby cot, if you're not charging this one, even though the item is not being charged, you can still do a non-room item for inventory tracking. You can do that one with baby cot or baby crib, right? Some other resort would be having their, let's say, Muslim friendly room wherein they're delivering a prayer mat and a Quran, something like that. They can actually add it up to the reservation itself without any rates, though it's free of charge. You can configure a non-room item just to track those inventory. Okay, now for our testing purposes later on, let me just add on the child breakfast for our package. Okay. So I'll be doing a little bit of shortcut right here and just copy the adult rate, change the details, and would somebody help me with the breakfast rate for child?
It is 815, 500.
Thank you. Okay, I believe it's going to be,
Sorry,
yes.
sorry. I have a question with that. So there's an internal breakdown rate for the child, and there's an add-on breakfast rate for the child. Um, can, for example, the breakfast add-on, the child breakfast as part of the bundle be set only, for example, if there's a surcharge, or that is not possible?
Yes, actually, yes, you're correct. Let's say this rate is for an external add-on, right? In the non-room bundle, you still have a chance to override the rate. Let's say currently we're selling at 815,500 for the breakfast, and this is for the add-on. But when it's incorporated in the package, let's say this rate will go down to 815,000 only. Yes, we can do that one using the same non-room item.
Okay, so sorry then, but maybe for this purpose now, if we're going to integrate that into the included rate, can we change the rate to the internal breakfast allocation? Which, let me just double check. So it's 201,836.
201,836 for breakfast. Right, and we're going to charge this one against which child category? 12 to 16?
Actually, it would be both 411 and 12 to 16.
All right. Let me just select only one for now, right? We can also apply this one to both later on with a bundle, right? But in this case, okay, since this is internal, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. Right, since this is not an add-on, this part right here in transaction control is purely optional. So to get rid of the confusion, we can just take out the pricing control, internal package for. Am I correct to say so? In font, you're not charging, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And just to check, this breakfast package or breakfast adult is also internal, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay. Now, question for the property: Are you do you want? Oh, since the breakfast is actually your room rate is all inclusive of breakfast, I believe so, right? There's no need or no need for you to add on the breakfast itself as additional to the room rate. Am I correct to say so? Or
Well, so again, right, if there is an extra adult, there should be add-on breakfast part as part of the extra adult rate, but I guess that will be then done in the bundle as well. So there's then the external breakfast, but that will be posted in the POS. So there should be no add-on option for a breakfast itself,
all
I
right.
guess.
Yes, correct. Okay, so we have here the breakfast, adult and child. So that's okay. Let me just check on the package later on when we touch this configuration. Okay, we'll just get back to this one a bit later. All right, so we have the basic non-room items right here on the list, right? Then the property can add more non-room items after the discussion today. Now, any question before we jump to the next topic for the non-room item, non-room bundles?
Nope.
All right. Okay. Now, going to the next topic, we can go to our non-room bundle, the same menu structure. We have here non-room bundles. Okay, so let's say I'll be taking one code right here for breakfast. Okay, so enable for the property to create a bundle, we'll put in the code right here, right? So if you've noticed, we're entering a new screen right here. This is not the usual screen that we have in HMS. This is what we call the core screen. It's quite old screen designs, and so that's why the coding or the details will be entered quite differently, right? So non-room bundles will put in there the code, click on add. From here, we can put in the non-room bundle name, right? So let's put it as breakfast. The description is mandatory. You can put in the long description if you want right here, the rate breakdown, just for information only. You can also do that. Central non-room bundle code would not be used for the property, right? This is used for our central reservation system software, separate from HMS. Now, going down below here is we have the transaction code and the offset code. Now, if you want this bundle, this breakfast bundle, to be offered as, again, as add-on or separate charge, right, on top of your room rate, we will have a transaction code and offset code to be used for these items. What is this used is that, let's say we have two items bundled up together, breakfast and lunch, right? We can call that one as half board bundle. And that half board bundle, we can add it up in the reservation itself. Now to do that one, since this is going to be posted separately, we're going to find a specific transaction code for the guest to see, just one line, instead of posting separate breakfast transaction code, separate lunch transaction code. We're going to use one single package transaction code to be used to post this item as one. Okay, let's say I'm going right here. Just for example, okay, like this one, package charge. You can call this one as package charge. And offset code is, since this is just a dummy transaction code, this is not a revenue code. This is just to um, to seal the package elements within the system, right? There's no revenue that can be tracked from this transaction code. This is just to bundle up those items together. We would need another transaction code to offset or to reverse the posting, right? We can use a system offset code that we have here, package offset code, to reverse this transaction, right? Let's say the whole package is amounting to, let's say, 1 million dong, right? And that 1 million consists of, let's say, 500,000 for breakfast and 500,000 for lunch, right? In the system, the users or the guest would see one line posting called package charge at this transaction code. And in the background, we call it accounting folio, the revenue distribution is going to happen. The transaction is going to be split 500 for breakfast in its own respective transaction code and 500 for lunch in its own respective transaction code as well, right? So this is going to be used, these two fields right here are only going to be used if we're offering this bundle to be added on top of the room rate. Okay, just delete this one since this is purely for inclusive in the rate plan, right? Now, since this is a
Sorry,
bundle, yes, go ahead, Michael.
just quickly, does then, if the system is displaying that as whatever our transaction code is, does it have a subtitle or a sub information that would detail it? So package bundle half board, for example, or that isn't there?
It should be taking from the description of your transaction code. So if it is says package charge here, then the folio would display the same.
But is there a free text element, or if needs to be elaborated further, or that's not an option?
We can use this bundle to elaborate for the description, right? Or right here, that this is for a breakfast and lunch, but this information would not be displayed in the folio.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Okay. Now we can add the add-on items or non-room items right here. Click the add non-room items, and we can select from the list that we have created earlier. Right? So we'll select breakfast and child right here, add the bundle. And from here, I can manipulate the rate directly from this list right here. For example, for this package, I'll be changing the rate to 400,000. I can still do that, right? The add-on, the non-room item would not change the rate only for this package price, right? Example, as mentioned earlier, if you have different rates for add-on items, fixed charges, and different for package, you can use the same non-room item and just change the price in the bundle itself, right? Now, for the breakfast, you can select also the posting frequency from here. You can start posting the breakfast based on consumption. Let's say on the second day, the charges is going to be posted, right? So that my ADR is correct instead of posting it on the first day wherein there's no consumption. I can set the breakfast to be taken on the second day. Pricing control is per adult, and I can click on save for this one. Going to the child, also second day, and I can set here child 12 to 16 and save. Now where is my second child? I can add the same. And this one is for my 4 to 11 years old, right? You can also attach the same item with a zero rate if you want just to track how many covers you want for the reports. You can also do that one. Okay, so just to check, we have a breakfast adult at 403,000, goes with a child and 12 to 16 and 4 to 11, right? Now, since this is meal plan, I'll tick this one, this item right here, or this tick box right here as meal plan, right? So that you can generate a report. When I'm attaching this one in the package rate, let me just show you in the screen. When I'm creating a reservation with this package included, we have a specific field right here for meal plan, right? So when I tag that one as a meal plan using this tick box right here, this information right here would be reflected right here in the meal plan details, right? If it is a non-room bundle, then it's if this is not ticked, then this information will go to the non-room bundle. Just like, let's say, for example, for a non-room bundle gala dinner. Sorry, this is a meal as well. Okay. Um, let's say transportation, right? Um, airport pickup and drop off, right? Those are not meals, so we can actually attach two bundles, right? We can attach two separate bundles in one rate. That is possible, right? So I'm creating here for the breakfast, and I will create later on for transportation. I can do that one and attach it in one rate plan called, let's say, opening package. I can do that one, and once in the reservation, when I create that booking, the meal plan breakfast will appear here in this portion of the screen right here, and the transportation bundle name will also appear right here, right? This is to distinguish or to separate what is a meal and what is a non-meal bundle within the rate. Okay, so again, when you're creating a non-room bundle, make sure that you create a meal separately and a non-meal bundle also separately, right? And we can merge them all together in the rate plan when we're creating the package, right? Post bundle total, please don't use this one. This is only used if you see here, this is each day, right? When we click on post bundle total on the first day itself, the entire pricing times the number of nights multiplied by the pricing control will be posted in the first night. We don't want that one, right? So you can untick this one, choose this one. And if you're going to apply this one to all the rate plans, then you can click this compatible to all rate plans. If not, if this is just specific to a few rate plans in the property, you can untick this one and later on go to the rate plan compatibility and attach those rate plan to this non-room bundle. Minimum length of stay, we will keep this one open. We don't want to restrict too many, we don't want to place too many restriction on the bundle, right? If there's any restriction for the length of stay, we will put it in the rate itself, not in the bundle, right? And finally, click on save, right? This is to save the setup. And finally, activate this non-room bundle. Do not forget to activate this non-room bundle itself. Else, it would not be visible in the what do you call this? In the rate plan configuration or in the reservation itself. Right? Any questions with the bundles?
Sorry, Joshua.
If like package room accommodation, like the room charge, so the room just gonna be break down after the end of the audit, or we need to create this kind of non-room item for each night room charge.
No, they will be attached to the rates already.
Okay.
Sorry, Joshua, can you just elaborate a bit what would happen if I would put in again an allowance here, an allowance offset? So, for example, so if the allowance is, if the price is higher than the allowance, or if the price is lower than the allowance, it will transfer it to whatever offset code it is. Or sorry, if you can just repeat that, I wasn't 100% clear.
Sure. Okay. Allowance amount and unconsumed transaction code is being used for floating posting, and this is only applied to a property that is exclusively tax exclusive, right? But for the benefit of everybody, for this allowance posting is that when I'm in the front desk and the package is actually for 400, let's say 400,000, right? The package is 400,000 and I posted 500,000 in the folio, right? The 400,000 gets consumed by the package and the excess will be posted on the guest folio separately, right? But if I created an allowance right here, right? Let's say I'd be having, let's say 400,000, let's say I'd be having an allowance of 50,000, right? 50,000 allowance plus 400,000 base rate. If I'm going to post 500,000 in the guest folio, what is going to be consumed by the package is 400,000 plus 50,000, and the excess amount would be posted in the guest folio. I think it should be better for me to show you in the Excel. Let me just have this one here. Okay, let's say we have a package or item. Let's say meal lunch. Okay, and the price is 400,000. Right. Okay, and the allowance is 50,000. Okay, so the total would be 450,000, right? So this is inclusive in the room rate. Let's say this is part of our room rate. Okay, now since this allowance is used for floating packages, wherein the system will reserve this amount in the reservation until the night audit. And then if there's any posting that's coming in, let's say a lunch will be posted, the allowance, the non-room bundle would kick in and consume that amount from the posting to consider as the package. Let's say there's a posting, manual posting of lunch, and the amount is, let's say, 500,000. Now, for 500,000 manual posting, what the system would do is consume 450,000 right here, right? So we have an excess of 50,000. This is going to be posted in the guest folio. And the 450,000 right here will be distributed internally. Since we have an allowance of 50,000 right here, 400,000 will go to the pricing of the lunch itself, and the 50,000 as allowance will go to the allowance transaction itself. Let's say this is for lunch transaction code, and this is for lunch allowance. Okay. So 400,000 of the taken amount from the manual posting is going to the lunch transaction code, and the 50,000 allowance will go also to the lunch allowance transaction code. And the excess will be posted in the guest folio separately. Okay, so this right here is only being used if the property is exclusive posting, right? Since inclusive property would the option of floating is not working in the system currently, right? We would not be using floating packages currently in the system until we do some upgrades in the future versions of HMS.
All right, thanks.
All right. So let me just go back to the HMS right here. Okay. Right, so I have my bundle created ready. Now the system is now ready to create or to accept this one as my bundle for the rate plan. Okay, now creating a rate plan, we have several steps, right? We have 4 steps on creating a rate plan. Okay, the first thing is we have to set the standard rate plan, right? Standard rate plan is this one, right? When we're creating a standard rate plan, it's just meaning that we're going to create the title of the rate plan and marking the market segment and marking that rate plan if it is a suppressed or confidential rate, right? We don't have the pricing right here. We don't have the restrictions right here for now. This is creating the title of the rate plan itself. Let me just go to the rate right here. Okay, so let's. Yes,
Sorry,
go ahead.
just for your info, you are using an outdated sheet. I believe I have sent you the newer one, but if we're just using it for sample purposes, it's okay. You can use this one.
Oh, sorry. Let me just check. It's V3. Let me just. Sorry about that. Let me just get the latest one.
It would be called most likely V3 and then from by some more.
Okay.
But there is a chance that you haven't received it.
Okay, so this is the new one. Okay, so let's say I'm going to take this TBN to be created as a rate plan. Just going to copy let me just close this one, B3. Copy this rate plan code, put it here in this code itself, and the description, the same thing. I'm going to copy this code right here, right? Just one note on this codes right here. I think some of the descriptions are quite long. It might not fit in the description box right here. Let's check on that one a little bit later. For tour operator, contracted rate or market segment is, let me just check. I think we don't have the market segment right here. It's
Sorry, it's leisure individual, LI.
individual. Okay. And since this is travel agency rate, I can put this one as a suppressed rate and finally click on save. Right? Now, the property can create, the first step is that, especially that we're creating the multiple rate plans, is that the property can first create the standard rate plan based on what we are listing right here. Right? So if you have the access to do so, you may try and test it yourself from the property to create these rate plans in the standard rate plan, right? So that you can actually use the same system on following through when you're creating the rate with me. Okay? Now let's say I'll be taking this one for now. Okay. And next step is that I'm going to my pricing and going to my room rates. This is where I'm going to um, put pricing for my room rates. Okay, so let me just go to the room rates, and currently I don't have any listed right here. To create the that room rate, I'll pick the title from my standard rate plan by going to this rate configuration, click on property room rates. Right. First thing first is to check if I'm creating it for Vietnamese dong, right? Now, if you're creating for USD room rate, please use this currency, right? US dollar, this one is to be used for your foreign currency, right? Now, we don't recommend to use the same currency for your room rate because of the purpose that if your currency or if your forex change on a certain dates, right? And you don't want to affect your room rate, we should have used a different currency for that one. That's why we are separating the room rate US dollar and the US dollar for forex, right? Please don't be confused with the currency. USD room rate is used for the room rate itself, right? Not to sync with your foreign currency rate that is being offered daily in the property, right? So let's say Vietnamese dong, taking it from my TBN, click on add. And from here, let's discuss first this first part of the screen right here.
Sorry, just if we're going through it, that one should actually be in USD.
Oh, this is in USD. Okay. Anything that is on Vietnamese dong from here?
The DMC contract base rate.
Yeah, and the DB, if you go further up, DB and yeah, exactly, that one is in VND.
Okay, let me just take this one and instead of going by the menus, I can click on this previous screen, right? To put me back to the previous screen that I have visited, TBN, and right here is DMC contracted rates. Also suppress, is it?
Yes.
Okay, room rates, pricing, and we have here room rates. Vietnamese dong, create new property, select DBN, And from here, we will first discuss on the first um, part of the screen. First is rate category, right? As we have discussed on the first day that market segment and rate category should be the same. So I'll be picking up the same leisure individual, right? Room charge, right? What is the room accommodation revenue code, transaction code is going to be used? By default, we set it as accommodation inclusive. Okay. Now, if you are creating for, let's say, a residence transaction, residence rate code, right? Since we have a different transaction codes for your residence, we should also be having a different rate code for them to tag the correct transaction code of the room. Residence, where's my room charge right here? Oops, let me check on that one. In the transaction code, there's something that I have to check right here. Residence charge include room charges there. Okay. Okay, that should be here. Oh, here you go. Right. So if this is a rate code for residence, then you have to select residence charge include. Right. No-show transaction code. What is the transaction code that's going to be posted as a no-show? Right. Can click here no-show charge. If you put the reservation on no-show or during the night audit, the reservation has not been checked in, the system, instead of posting the accommodation charge, would post the no-show charge. Right. Rate level is not configured, as well as the resort fee. And again, looking at this transaction code description, let's say if you need to add more information for the transaction code, for the rate code, then you can add that rate information right over here. Right? If this is a complementary rate in house use, you have this tick box right here to indicate that one, and it is applicable to your rates house use 1, 2, 3. Okay, and also complementary 1, 2, 3 right there. Okay, track is not being used. Rate basis, as we have discussed, we have two types right here. We have the base rate. We have the base rate and adjust baseline rates. Oops, here. Okay, base rate is an independent rate once again, right? That is not derived to any rates at all, right? Since DMC, let's see DMC right here.
That's base rate.
It is a base rate, and I have to configure this one as a base rate. Now, if you notice, once selecting the base rate, all these extra fields goes away. If it is adjust baseline rate, I have to select which rate it would be derived from, right? Baseline rate, rate plan. Let's put in as a base rate, right? And untick this use as derivative only. It means if this is ticked, this rate plan would not be used, but it's a model rate only, just for display purposes. It cannot be used for any reservation at all. Okay, so let me just untick that one. And going down to the next tab is that allow manual adjustment. Okay, allow manual adjustment is that you're allowing this rate plan to be adjusted in the screen, what we call, let me just show you in a demo here. In a revenue management screen called manual rate adjustments. Here you go. manual rate adjustment, right? That rate plan, if this is ticked, right, manual adjustment, that rate plan would now be included in this list called manual rate adjustment, and the revenue manager can go to that rate plan and adjust whatever rates he wants to sell it on a specific day. Let's say, don't have the rate here, V bar, right? So I have the rates right here on a specific date, on a specific occupancy, right? If I just specifically want to adjust a rate on a specific day on a specific room type, I can go from to this table and adjust my rate. Let's say this one is 270, 2700, 2700, and so based on single occupancy and double, right? I can adjust that rate from here itself quite manually and click on save, and automatically any future reservation, right? Again, this right here allows you to adjust the rates for future reservations, right? Your rates to be offered for future bookings on this rate on a specific room type, on a specific occupancy, on a specific date, right? We have the date range update, which we will discuss later on revenue management or on the training on the revenue management section of our training, right? So you can use this one if you want that feature to be used against this rate plan. Classic example is for your bar rate, right? Or your let's say virtual bar or your bar rate, right? Even though you have a bar here, which bar do you offer for a specific day? Let's say Monday, I'll be using bar 1, but in the middle of the day, you want to increase the bar 1 by 20%, right? You can do that one by going to the manual rate adjustment. Rate duration, right? So if this is a one-time rate offer, you can put unlimited duration, right? When I say one-time rate duration, let's say opening rate, you only open once, so you can put it as limited duration only. Continuous duration, if this rate is going to be used continuously. Also, if this is a seasonal rate, if it is a rate only offered, let's say on a Christmas season, it is still going to be a continuous duration setup, right? You will just set the available selling dates for that specific rate, right? Both continuous rate and seasonal rate would use continuous duration. Limited duration are for one what do you call this one time rate only, right? Pre-opening and all that. Commissionable, if this rate is commissionable, right? Or flat per night, flat being the percentage, and night is per amount. How much are you charging the for commission? You can do that one from here. Right? And going to the next part of the screen right here is the restriction. Restriction, minimum length of stay. You can only reserve this room if you are staying for at least 3 nights. You can put 3 nights there with the lead time that you have to make the booking prior to arrival. Let's say 3 days prior to arrival. That is minimum lead time, right? So length of stay and lead time goes hand in hand. And also we have maximum lead time. Let's say you can only make the booking 3 days before arrival, right? But if you're going to set a selling window, let's say 2 weeks before arrival, like pre-order in Apple, like you're only selling this one, let's say from 1 week before arrival until 3 days before arrival, that selling window, you can have this maximum lead time also. In this specific example, I'm setting up the lead time of minimum 3, maximum 7. It means this rate plan is only sellable 7 days before arrival, and it must be secured 3 days before arrival. From 7 days before arrival to 3 days before arrival. Other than that, on outside the lead time window, this rate plan could not be sold, cannot be used against any reservation. Minimum number of guests, it's pretty much straightforward, right? Maximum nights per reservation, the same restrictions. Okay. Now from here, yieldable, apply dynamic pricing, web rate, right? These three tick boxes is used again for our Infor CRS or call center module, right? So these three tick boxes would not be having any impact at all, right? So even you take that one or not, it wouldn't be used in the property. Okay. If this rate is inclusive of any packages, then you have to click on include package items. I think this one is the, okay. This one
Sorry,
has a go ahead.
a quick question. Room only is fixed pre-ticked.
Yeah.
That's not really applicable for us since we don't have any room only rates.
Yeah. So initially, when we're configuring a transaction code, once there are no package attached, this tick box will be ticked automatically. But once any package has been attached to this one, then this one goes away.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay. Now, exclusive rate, if this rate is exclusive for a certain company, right? You can use this one for multiple companies, that's fine, right? For example, a travel agency in for travel group. You can use this one for Agoda. You can use this one for Expedia, right? But only for those travel agencies that you attach this rate plan to. Those are the only travel agencies that can use this rate plan. Let me show you in one classic example here in the demo. If I'm going to my booking agency profile or organization profile, right? I'm going to Infor, right? I have the tick box right here called sell negotiated rates only. If I'm restricting this travel agency to select from his or her negotiated rate, I can do that one. And also I can add this negotiated rate panel right here, right? So going back here, if this rate plan has been ticked as exclusive rate, this rate plan could not be used to any reservation unless this has been added to the travel agency that this rate has to be used for. Okay? Especially if this is a travel agency rate, then it's purely a contractual basis. You can use this exclusive rate also, right? Allow rate overrides. Now, don't be confused about manual rate adjustment. Again, manual rate adjustment applies to the future reservation, setting your future rates. Allow rate overrides is you're giving the user the access to override the rate in a reservation stage. Right? If we have a fixed rate in the system, going to my guest stay. Let's say this guest is using V bar. If this tick box is tick allow rate override, the user can go to the stay wizard. We call it stay wizard. Let me just zoom out just a little bit. Right. And the user will be having a chance to change the rate nightly right here. Okay, let me just extend this one for one more night. Oops. Okay, this one has an extra night in its reservation. Stay wizard, right? And from here, the user can go and change the rate per night. Let's say on the 20th, the night of the 20th to the 21st, I'm going to override the rate from 1,000 to 1,500. Rate reason, management request, submit, right? If you're allowing this rate plan to be overridden, just like what I've shown you here, you will use this tick box to do so, right? So again, apply dynamic pricing, yieldable web rate is not being used for now, and you can just click on continue. Now, since I have ticked that package rate, right? Since I've ticked that package rate, automatically the system brings me to this package information, right? I can put in the terms and condition of this package if I do, right? And I will select my transaction code, right? Remember, we have the accommodation inclusive charge as my main revenue code for the room accommodation. The same goes with this rate plan right here. What is the transaction code that is to be displayed in the user? That is not a revenue code, just like a dummy code. In this case, for all your packages, we will take it from, let me just pull this one out. This transaction code right here, specifically package charge and package offset, right? This is an internal codes just to put those revenue codes, uh, uh, just to cover all the revenue codes in the backend operation, right? Or in the accounting folio, right? Transaction code that, what is the transaction code that the guest would see is 9999 for my package charge and 9998 to reverse this transaction code in order for me to distribute the revenue. Okay. Sure. And for inclusive posting, please always use this show tax and package price. And we don't want to average our room rate, right? Because the system, HMS in particular, is fond of doing the averaging of rates. For example, I have a dynamic rate that today I'm selling the rate at 1 million, tomorrow at 1,250,000, and the next day is 2,500,000. What the system would do is average all those revenue and say, give you just an average rate, right? So you don't want that one. You have to click this do not average room rate to capture the exact revenue per day. Do not distribute taxes for 0 nights. It means if it's a 0 night room rate, please do not put any taxes to that one. Do not put any taxes against that one. And and finally, do not post negative on room rates, right? So by the default, you will basically, for straightforward information, you will use the same setup for the entire packages line of yours, right? You can take a screenshot of this one. For all the room rate packages, you will use this setup. Okay. And finally, I'm going to add my breakfast, right? Available non-room bundles. Highlight that one and just click on add. You can hover over to see the information, right? So again, you can attach multiple bundles in one rate plan, right? That is why we are separating the meal plan bundle, breakfast, right? And if you have, let's say, transportation, that's going to be another bundle right here. You can add both of them in one rate plan, right? So that we have a clear picture of what is a meal and what is a non-room bundle. And finally, click on save. And that goes with your basic setup for the room rates, right? For the package itself. Okay. Any question before we go on further with the other part of the screen?
Possibly. Sorry, at what stage are we telling the system that the breakfast should be raised breakfast revenue and deducted from room revenue?
That is controlled by the non-room bundle, right? So if you can see here, the posting frequency, is each day.
But
Mhm.
we've never said which revenue the breakfast is going to.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
so
Uh,
I don't understand how it knows.
which transaction code to be taken? All right.
Correct.
So that is actually from the first, I think we have missed this one, our first discussion with the non-room item. If you see here, breakfast adult, transaction code is 2001. So it's actually a chain we're creating the non-room item. We're putting it in a bundle. In the bundle, we're putting it on a um, rate plan. Does this answer the question?
Yes, okay, no, sure. So that means then, but for example, what if there is a bundle that is an add-on? So then it needs to be ticked as an add-on, or it needs to be added as an add-on. For example, if I have a breakfast bundle that is not any other bundle that is not deducted from the room rate, I don't fully understand where I make the difference between a bundle that is deducted from the room rate and the bundle that is not deducted or added to the room rate.
Okay. So for the bundle that is deducted to the room rate, it is attached directly to the rate plan, right? Once you have attached the bundle, once you have attached, oh, let me just have this one as inactive. I haven't inactive. Once a bundle has been attached to the rate plan, automatically whatever the package elements right here will be deducted to the room rate, right? Now, if we can actually use the same bundle to be posted against or on top of the room rate. We can do that one as well using this same bundle, right? But basically, if we're creating the bundle and attaching it to the package or the room rate, automatically this bundle would be taking out revenue from our room. Attaching the bundle independently will go as well as like this in our demo. Can go to my add-on, select my non-room bundle, and let's say I can have here spa treatment. Click on save. As well, if I'm going to add another meal plan, let's say, do I have here dinner? And click on save, right? So basically this add-ons right here, right, or this meal plan and non-room bundle, this is actually the same bundle that we're actually attaching onto the rate plan itself. We can use that one as a additional, or we can also set that one as part of the package.
Okay, understand. So if I add it directly in the reservation as an add-on, but if it's added to the rate code, it will automatically deduct, right? Okay.
Yes, correct. That is correct.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
All right. Okay, I think I have passed the hour of break. Let's have a 15-minute break for this one. You guys can have your discussion on the package plans and let me know what are the things you have in mind. You can also explore in the system on our setup with the non-room bundle and the rate plan itself. And we will continue with the discussion in 15 minutes with the remaining configuration of the rates. All right, so we will talk to you again in 15 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Joshua.
Welcome. All right, just let me know if we can start.
Yeah, feel free whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now going further with our discussion with the room rates. Okay, now once we have completed our packages, we can still go back and check those packages within this um, um, room rates screen by clicking this tab right here called package details. Right. Next step is that we're going to sales channel. This one is not being used for CRS only. Now we can also restrict this room type to be sold to different room types, right? Just in case if I'm going to my room type settings, basically at the moment that I'm configuring my rates, all the room types are now being placed as active, right? It's being set here as sellable. But in case if I want to override this one and I don't want this one to be sold as my, let's say, residence, 4-bedroom residence, I can just click on the edit button and untick this sellable, click on save, right? Especially that this room rate is having a room charge short stay revenue here in our configuration right here. It's using the accommodation. You might want to go ahead and change this room type settings as so, right? But also you can set this one up in the sales category, sales what do you call this sales strategy, wherein you don't include the residence room type as sellable for specific groups of room rates. Okay, now going to the package rates, we have not actually set yet the room rates for this rate plan. Okay. Now, just to confirm with the property, this DBN room rate, are we allowing the users to override the room rates within the reservation? Should we take this allow room rates override?
No, please take out no override.
All right. Okay. Now going down right here in the rate period or the rate structure, this is going. This is where we're going to add the season, right, or the date range, and the rate of this room rate per room type and based on the occupancy. Okay. Now, do you have the rate matrix currently that you can share with me?
Yes, let me see if I can send you that in a chat.
Yeah, okay. Now, rate structure, you will only use nightly, right? Weekly, please do not use this one, and monthly. The thing here is for this weekly and monthly rate, the system would actually average this weekly rate and divide it per the number of nights, right? Divided by 7 for weekly, and that will be your nightly rate, right? So let's say I'm going to my rate structure, new rate period, and let's say I'll be doing the effective start date at 16th of October, right? So that I can have some room rates for my training next week. So just select the date. Length of stay nightly, right? So always nightly. Pattern, right? By default, it's going to be new pattern, right? But if you have different room rates per day of the week, then you can do that one from here. You can untick this one and select the days of the week that you're selling this one, right? And from here, you will set your single rate, double, triple, and so on. Okay. Now, for a single rate, let's say, uh, so you can start the rate configuration or rate structure configuration from here. First is selecting the room type. Okay. Just check on my chat.
Sorry, Joshua, you're muted, just in case we should hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So first thing is room types, selecting room types from the right-hand side. Okay, and now setting up the rates based on the occupancy. Okay, for single, double, and single and double, you'll be having same rate, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So for this one, which rate column should I take? Is it the opening rate?
Which rate are you configuring right now? Sorry.
This is DBN.
The DMC, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the opening season.
Okay. So that's 5,242 and 500.
Actually, Michael, those are some old rates. They are the ones still starting from 1st of August, so that's an old document.
Ah, sorry. Sorry, that's my bad. Let me get the new one.
Okay.
Do you want me to pull up the rate structure quickly?
Yeah, if you have it handy.
Yes, let me have a look.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let me see. How do I share this? Open share tray, right? Or do I put it in the chat? Joshua, you're muted, I think.
Yeah, you can just put it on a chat. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't see the attachment button.
You can also drag the image to the chat box. We can try.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't work. It jumps back.
Okay. Okay.
Can I send it to you on an email quickly?
Sure, sure. That's fine.
Okay. Okay, sent.
All right, let me just check on that one. All right, so while waiting for the file, let me just explain to you the fields right here. Right, so for these rates, we have a single, double, and triple. This is actually pertaining to the adult rate based on occupancy. Right, and here you go. Okay, Paddyfield Villa. We have here Paddyfield Villa for DMC. All right, so Paddyfield Villa DMC. Right, same as the double. You can copy the same. Triple, would you be having an extra charge for the triple rate, or the same rate will be applied?
Well, that would be the extra person charge then for the third
Extra.
person.
Okay, so for extra person charge is going to be posted as an add-on on top of the rate. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Same goes with the quad. In that case.
Exactly. Yes, correct.
Okay. Now for the adult rate, since we are only limiting in the screen for up to a quad, if let's say the property is accepting more than four occupant in the room, adult rate will be the additional charge of that adult, the fifth adult, on top of the quad rate. Okay, and same goes with the infant, child 11 and child 12, is that when this reservation is with child, what is the extra charges that you're going to add on top of the room rate, regardless of the occupant type right here, right? But yeah.
Joshua, considering though that for the paddy field, for example, we would never take 3 adults or 4, let alone. So would you still put this rate then?
Basically, if you have a rate here and it is controlled, the occupancy is controlled by the room type. Even you have a rate right here, it would never take effect.
That's fine then. Okay.
Okay, and we'll just click on apply. Right, so that's one room rate for one room type, and I'm going to the next one, the MC rate at Hillpool Villa. Apply. All right. 2-bedroom Hillpool Villa at the MC rate 15,750. This rate is after taxes, right?
It's with taxes included, correct? Yes.
All right. Hillpool Villa 2-bedroom. Beach Pool Villa 1-bedroom. Beach Pool Villa 2-bedroom. And no more for the residents. Okay, so we have this room rates. We can click on apply. We can click on done if we're finished with the room types with the rates, and automatically it will reflect down below here in the rate structure. Now looking at the rate structure right here, the PDF, we have the opening rates, shoulder season and low season, right? Now we can also add a new rate period within the system starting April 7, 2021. To do that is that you're going to click on new rate period right here and just put in the start date, let's say 2021, April 7. Right. For now, let me just click on apply. Click on done for this one. Right. So currently, since I don't have the rates configured for this season, you would see that this rate, the first rate, would be continuously offered to the guest. Right. It will only be suppressed until I have created my new season right here. Okay. All right. So what if I'm going to change the rates that is being displayed here after I have clicked on done? I can just go to the edit button, click on the edit button, and from here, instead of picking up the room rates right here, it is now be edited from this list down here in the selected room types portion. Right? Any questions on how do we attach the rates to the rate plan based on room type?
Nope, not from my side.
All right. Now, you would see that we have two status right here: inactive for the season and inactive for the entire rate plan, right? After you have completed the setup, we're going to activate the season itself, right? And there's a pop-up in the screen, add this one to presets. We will skip this one for now because this is the last step that we're going to take later on, right? Let me just skip on this. And after that, the season is activated and automatically the rate plan is also activated in some point, right? But just make sure, just do a double checking at the moment that you're creating the rate plan to check the season and the status of the rate plan itself, right? Now let's try to just test this feature right here called allow manual rate adjustment. So I'm going to click on allow manual rate adjustment and continue and save. Let's see how it does reflect in our manual rate adjustment. I'm going to my rate and sales, pricing and manual rate adjustment. And now I will see my DBN rate plan here. Opening that one up, right? So you will see the default rate displayed right here. So our rate is currently displaying, right? So that's a good signal, meaning our rate plan has been activated, right? So for some rate plans that you're doing as a manual rate adjustment, you can do the adjustment directly from this screen right here. Okay. Let me just disable that one in a moment and save. Okay, now that is what we call base rate. Now we don't want to go inside of this rate structure every now and then when we're creating the rate plan, right? Some of our rate plans right here is actually derived to, let's say, DMC, right? Let's open up the Excel sheets right here if we do have rates derived to DMC. Okay, so we have here DCOBN, combination of offer minimum 3 nights with stay in PB. For the property, what do we mean by PB?
Sorry, that's our sister property, Fumbatang. So it's a combined stay rate.
Okay, so if I see here, this is an adjust baseline rate with 10% off from DMC. Is that correct?
Yes,
Correct.
that's correct.
Okay. Now let's try to create a adjust baseline rate. Again, the process is the same as what we have created our rates right here. We always have to start, zoom out just a little bit. Okay. We have to start from our standard rate plans, right? Create a rate plan from here. Let's see if this fits. Nope, we have, right? So there are some limitation. We have cut off the limitation right here. Okay.
Yeah, you can just call it min 3 nights PB if it doesn't fit.
Okay. Market segment is leisure individual, rate suppressed, and save. Okay. Now, creating our rates, the same mechanics. We'll go to our pricing, room rates, create a new rate plan, take from the standard rate plan. From here, set a rate category to leisure individual, same as the market segment as your guide there. No show charge. And let's say can't fit in the information right there. We can just copy this one and override that rate information as so. Right. Next, we go to the next part of the screen right here. Rate basis would be adjust baseline rate. Okay, and select right here. We also have the option to adjustment type as adjust to the best available rate. So this was going to be applied if we have any rates that is derived from the best available rate selling for the day. So for example, today on this date, we are selling bar 1. Then this rate, if we set this one as adjust to best available rate, this date, if we're selling bar 1, it will be going to derive from bar 1, different from day 2 if we're selling bar 2, right? But if this is static to a base rate, just like the DMC, we'll select baseline rate, adjust to baseline rate, and we will select here the baseline rate plan DBN. Okay, and it's going to be decreased by 10%. All right, now rounding scale. We do have some rounding issues once we are reducing our rate by percentage, right? We can use the rounding scale at nearest, let's say 10, or nearest ones to avoid the decimals, right? But if you want to have it nearest hundreds, you can also do that one. Okay. And finally, you can click on Save Parameter. And your rates would now be flowing from here, adjusted 10% from dBn. Let's compare that one very quick with our Excel file. Beach Pool Villa 2. Yes.
Michael, we need to determine the rounding.
Yes, agree. Let's have a thought on that.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Okay. Save the parameter, and as again, check the dates, the season if it's active, automatically for adjust baseline rate. Once the baseline rate has been activated, of course, your season right here is also activated. So we just have to activate the rate plan itself from here and skip this process again. Right? Okay. Now things to check, because this is a package rate. Let's go to the package details. And you would notice that it also copied the default packages from the baseline rate of DMC. Right? So the thing there is, if we're going to adjust it to the baseline rate, once we are overriding the rate from DMC, also the rate for our reliant rate, we call it reliant rate, will also adjust. Right? Now to visit the baseline rate, you can just click on configure right over here, right, to check the rates. Right? Now, since this is a base rate, you would like to check what are the reliant rate plans attached to this rate. You can click on reliant rate plans right here to check what are the adjust to baseline rate plan that is dependent to the rate plan DMC. Right? So you can jump from one rate plan to another from here itself. Now there's some additional restrictions right here. Minimum 3 nights, right? So we have to configure that one. Length of stay right here, 3. And save. Oops. And save parameters. All good for now?
From me, yes. But I think Linda and Michael also need to be okay with this.
For me, all good.
All right. So rounding scale, that's one of our list. I'll put that one on my notes for the update later on that you will discuss on the rounding scale of the rates later on. Okay. Now, let's talk about your best available rate. Let me just share one of my iPad right here. Okay, so as we have discussed earlier in the week, our best available rate mechanics is that we will be setting up a what we call virtual bar, or in this property we call it bar, and this is the only rate plan that the property or the users will see for the best available rate that they're going to enter in the reservation, right? Now, this best available rate is actually being pushed with the specific best available rate plan right here, like our bar tiers, bar 1, bar 2, bar 3. Now let's say on a specific date, when we're selecting bar 1 to be our best available rate on that day, we're going to push this one to be our best available rate using our best available rate module in HMS, right? Now, there is going to be one challenge with this best available rate, especially if we are dealing with package. Just to check with you guys, your best available rate also is with package, isn't it? With breakfast?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, our best available rate in the interface side is that we cannot, or the CRS or the CRS doesn't support best available rate with package currently in HMS, right? It means interfaces would not receive best available rate in HMS with package, right? Now, we do have some workaround to do with that one, is that we will set a new rate plan called bar X, right? And this one would not be having any package. This one I'll get back to you for some testing. I have to check with development if we can do this option, wherein we'll create another rate plan derived to bar, right? That this is going to be used for interfaces only, right? And this bar X would never be having any packages at all, right? Let's see. We will check later on how do we make the interface work with the packages. I will give you updates with in this regard later on if I do have the feedback from our development, right? But basically for our bar, looking at our rate plans right here, if I'm not mistaken, this would be our bar tiers, isn't it?
Yes, but sorry, they have old names. They are called bar 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, so no plus one, no plus two. Okay, so bar 1 to 5, and then our alternate bar or our virtual bar would be called only bar, isn't it? Just to reconfirm.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, to avoid some zero rates for our rate plan, which rate plan is our rack rate or publish rate that should we take that should we configure as bar, right?
Mm, I'm a little bit lost, but I think it would be bar 1.
Bar 1 is being the highest, isn't it?
No, that's one of the well, it's the immediate one.
Okay, the most usually being used, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. Okay, now why do we need to configure rates in the bar, right? If we're if I'm going to show you in our demo right here in our bar management, there are some times that the revenue manager would actually be forgetting to update the bar in this module, like this one in November. I don't set any bar here, right? Now, if my virtual bar doesn't have any rates, the system will read that one as zero rates altogether. So I'm going to offer zero rates for the entire dates that doesn't have any bar. To avoid that one, we're setting up rates directly to bar. In that case, even though the revenue manager doesn't configure the bar on that date, automatically we have bar 1 as our rate as a default one so that we are refraining from zero rates in the reservation. Because um, the big issue with that one is that because best available rate is being interfaced, and if there's a human error of not setting the bar, then we are sending 0 rates in the CRS as well. Okay. Now, let me just configure the best available rates in the system just to okay, this one on minimize. Finally. Okay. Right. So best available rate, again, the same. Set standard rate plan. Set the bar. Market segment is leisure individual. Am I correct?
Yes.
Rate suppressed, leave as unticked, right? Because the users, this can be offered to FIT as well. Okay. Right. I'm also going to configure my bar 1. And bar 2, just to example. Okay. So I'll leave the others to be configured by the property, right? Now, let me configure my bar tier first, okay? So I'm going to my rate plans, room rates, configure best available rate in Vietnamese dong, am I correct?
Yes. Can I ask a quick question though? The one where you have just assigned leisure individual as the market code for the bar rate, what if that rate would also be used for other segments, for example, walk-in or others that would use the same rate?
Yes, because market segment is actually being what do you call this? Is being fixed in the rate plan itself, right? So in that case, you might want to create a new bar rate that is derived to this bar for walk-in, if you need the market segment or the rate category to be different for walk-in.
Okay, so that means we would have to configure multiple bar, for example, because
Yes.
we use it for multiple market codes.
Yes, and they can be derived back to this best available rate so that you wouldn't be having multiple rate adjustment with those bar. So the rate basis would be only one, which is the bar, and the control would be right in this screen, in the best available rate screen from here. So once I set my bar on a specific date, my bar walk-in, bar travel agency, my bar FIT would be synced together. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Joshua. So
Yes.
that means there is no way I can manually change a market segment or a rate category of any booking?
None. In HMS, we cannot change the rate category in the reservation itself.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, let me just first pick up the best available rate one. Okay, accommodation rate category leisure individual, right? Even though I have a rate category here for my bar 1 and market segment, this wouldn't take effect in the reservation because the reservation would actually be using the bar walk-in, the bar FIT, travel agency, and all of that. And whatever the market segment and rate plan attached to that is the one that's going to be used in the reservation, right? No show. Let me just configure this one for the system. Rate basis would be base rate, right? Just base rate, and from here untick the derivative rate only and continuous. And I will click this bar rates, right? That is the only difference for the bar tiers, is that you have to tick this bar rate, enable for the system to recognize that this is the one that's going to be pushing the rates as my best available rate for the day. Save the parameters. Okay. Right. Let me just check on here if we have Okay, we have bar 1 right here.
No, because we renamed them, it would actually be the lowest bar, the one that you currently have as bar 3 in green, just above the two operator rate. That was what we would now consider bar 1. That one,
Okay, all
exactly.
right. I'll leave this one as room only, right? Because packages, I will configure that one in the bar itself or a virtual bar, right? New rates 16. Page will to BR. This is Hill Pool Villa to BR, 2-bedroom pool villa, and finally here Hill Pool Villa. Okay, click on done and save. So I have my bar 1 configured. Let me just go back and activate this one first. Skip this step. Okay, and I'll create my bar right here. Okay. Okay, so this is also a base rate, right? So your rate basis for best available rate should also be a base rate. Okay, and this should be a continuous duration. And this time, since this is our virtual bar, you don't take this bar rate, right? You don't use this bar rate if this is a virtual bar or the best available rate to be offered to the guest. Save the parameters, and you can set the rate period from here itself, um, also using the same mechanics, right? Let me just activate this one. And going to the package details, since this has a um, breakfast, I'm going to do the same setup as my other package rates. The same setup all across. Click on save, right? And let me just tick this one, allow manual rate adjustment, so that I can see if the rate has already kicked in the system, right? Okay, now just a basic touch on the best available rate again. It is controlled by this revenue management, best available rates. Okay, one moment, let me just check on one system setup right here. Okay, now to set your bar, I can click on set bar, select the date, and you remember if I have ticked that bar rates in the rate plan, right, in this part of the screen. This one. If this is activated, the system would display that that rate plan as my best available rate to push the rates for my alternate bar. So I can click this one up, click on save, right? And you would see here that my room rate has been updated right over here with that bar one on a specific day, right? So again, I will leave to the property on configuring the rest of the rates, right? Now, we always skip this part of the screen right here where we're adding this rate plan to the sales strategy. This is the last and final activity that you're going to do when you are doing the rates. Okay, now let's say I'm going to my sales strategy. Okay, let me go to my rate and sales, pricing, and we have here sales strategy, right? We have here from the global codes what we have configured, and let's click on the contract DMC. What are the rates for here, right? So we will select our rates from the green, from the left side of the screen. Which one should be sold first, right? Since let's say DMC will be sold as first, we can just put this as add, and next is the DMC right at the bottom, right? And we will leave the best available rate right there, right? Because this is not part of our contracted. And now we will arrange our room types, right? We can put our room types based on the selling order. Let's say we will sell first at the Paddy Villa, right? Or you can actually select multiple if you wanted to without the residence, just holding your control key. Add that one up, right? And you can actually move things around right here. Let's say on this particular view, I want to sell my Paddy Villa first, right? Beach Pool Villa will be the last one. So I'm going to move this one down, move the 2-bedroom Hill Pool Villa up, and this will be my selling order for my room types, right? For sort order, you can leave this one as blank to use the default one, right? Or you can use the sort order to prioritize the rate plan first or room type. Finally, click on update, right? Put in comments something like for travel agency only, right? And update. Once we have updated that one, let's see that one in action in our reservation screen or what we call guest stay, right? Now, at the moment that a user is creating a booking, they'll go to the rate plan and select the rates to be given to the guest, right? Let's put it as 2 nights to have a better view. Rate plan right here. And we have here what we call sales strategy, right? The user can pick up, let's say, I'm looking for a contract DMC domestic and click on search. And by that, the user will now see the rate plans that is included for the DMC, right? We have DBN right here. And let's see DMC contracted base rate. I think we're missing one room rates there. Here you go. Why you can't see the DCOBN? I'm going to search. You remember my number of nights? I just put
Only
here
2 nights.
2 nights, correct. So the system is restricting me on giving that rate, but the user can always check the available rates regardless of the restriction by clicking on show restricted cell option, click on search, and the user will be having this red mark in there for the requirement of this rate plan itself. Okay. The same thing for our, let's say, bar rates, right? We can add here the bar walk-in, the bar travel agency, corporate, and all of those best available rate, we can add it here. but please do not add the bar tiers, the bar 1 to bar 5. Please do not add them into any sales strategy, right? So that the user wouldn't be actually putting it in the reservation altogether. Okay. Now, one question for the property special for the reservation is that what default sales strategy you would like to have set here for all the users?
I guess bar.
Bar. Okay. Now I will set that one. Let me just take down a note for that one. Okay. So earlier when I go to this screen right here in the rate plan, right? The one with the first time I go here, the first sales strategy is displayed here as preset, but the user can always change this one, right? Depending to the type of scenario, is that the user can set the sales strategy whenever they want. But as noted right here, our default sales strategy instead of having preset would be bar. Okay, I will be setting the sales strategy as bar as a preset. As a default on that one. Okay. Of Also, if a travel agency has a negotiated rate, right? Even though whatever the sales strategy right here, right? For example, I'm booking for Agoda, and they have a travel contracted for DMC, right? Even though my sales strategy says bar, my priority of selling will always set as what is there in the negotiated rate of that travel agency. Even though DMC is not part of the bar, but since I have a travel agency attached to the booking, what the system would display here first is what is the contracted rate of that travel agency. Okay? So that is the purpose of our sales strategy right here. Okay? Now, as a thing of review, before we go for a review, any questions from the team?
No, I think all good.
Okay. All right. So as a thing of review, what we are going to configure in the reservation is that first we're going to have, where's my list? I do have a list right here. We're going to set the non-room item first. Next is the non-room bundle. Okay. Meal plan. We don't forget that one as part of our non-room bundle. We have to separate what is a non-room bundle that is not a meal, just like your, let's say, transportation. Meal plan would be different for half board and full board. Your room rates, and being in the room rate, we have several steps. First is the standard room rate. Next is our pricing. Next is our packages. And finally is our sales strategy. Right? So there are four key things that we're putting in mind for the room rate. Create the title, put in the price, determine the package, and add it as a sales strategy. The same goes with our rate for US dollars, right? For a specific room rate that is set for US dollars, the only difference is that when we are configuring the rates, we have to set the currency to US dollar room rate, right? Please do not use US dollar. This is for cashiering purpose. We will set the US dollar room rate and the same mechanics. Select your rate plan and do the same as what we have in the steps of the room rates as stated here, the four key points. Right? Packages is redundant. It's added in on top right there. Right? Next is we will determine what are the rates that we want to put as manual rate adjustments, right? Based on the rates that we have on the list, right? You might want to check if you want that rate to be adjusted on a daily basis for future booking. Then you will use the feature called manual rate adjustment. And finally, our bar tiers, right? You can configure your rates for your best available rate tiers, your bar 2 to bar 5, and please do not forget your best available rates or your virtual bar, also to put a rates right there. Okay. Now, let me just do that one very quick. Since our best available rate, our bar itself, is actually the same, they will be having the same rate, right? So let me just give you one tip if you would like to do things quite fast and efficient, is that instead of putting in rates manually here one by one, you can actually copy the rates, right? From the established rate plan to another rate plan. You can just click on copy to, right? And from here, you can put in, select the best available rates, right? And you can do a multiple, what do you call this? A multiplication. For example, you want to increase the rate by, let's say, 50%. You can do that one right here and with the rounding scale, right? For this example, just going to multiply by 1. And finally, click on copy, replace all rates of bar with bar 1, click OK. Now, after you have copied, make sure that you go back to the rates that you have copied the rates to. And don't forget to check the season to activate it, as well as the rate plan itself, right? So I didn't put in the value here one by one. I did copy it from bar 1 and deploy it by using the copy uh, record or copy to functionality of HMS. All right, any questions from the team members?
No, I think all good.
All right. Okay. Now, for today, before we end, actually, I'm giving you back less than an hour for you to discuss and configure some of the rates in the system, especially those rates that you would like to cover in the training. All right. We will discuss multiple rate setup in HMS for the training. So we need those rates to be configured in the live so that we can, at the moment that we're going to copy this environment, this live environment, and put into training, that rate will be included as well, right? And I do have some few notes in my list right here. I will also include that one of some other pending topics or some other pending areas that you guys that we have to cover up before we take down the live for training, because we do have some interface testing coming up these few days, right? Which would be which should be covered as well for the interfaces, right? Um, I have some few in my list, but most of all, based on the configuration, we have finished all the global codes, right? Some of the codes are now ready. The left are those things that I have already sent as well in the update email. I will just put in summary on what are the things that we have still have to configure later on. All right. Okay, so with that, if we don't have any thing in the call, I can now give you back the rest of the time for you guys. And yeah,
Sorry, Joshua. Quick
yeah, fine.
question. What's the session tomorrow about? Is it basically just a question session for us, or is there more in-depth content?
Okay, so for that one, actually, for tomorrow is an activities configuration and review. Activities, your sports and leisure activities and all that, we're going to configure tomorrow. Like what are activities that is being offered in the property, half of this session tomorrow will be focusing on that one. And finally is the review. Again, just a little bit of question and answer and skimming through with the setup of the live, like the global codes, rates, and something like preference and all that.
Is it anyhow possible to maybe, because we still have quite a bit of configuration pending on our side, is it an option to move that session tomorrow to Thursday? So we have tomorrow to get up to scratch with our configuration. So on Thursday we might have any remaining questions to make sure by the end of the week we have it ready to copy everything into the system setup, or is that a problem from your side?
Let me check on that one and get back to you. But basically, for tomorrow, you would like to have the full session on configuration on your side, right?
Yes, if that would be possible, so we could make sure we have all the configuration, that we still have a backlog pretty much updated as much as possible. So when we do the review, that we actually are satisfied that we're happy to have the training database ready.
Okay, let me get back to you on that one. Maybe for the activities, this is not really a major thing on the module. Maybe we can put this one on the training itself. But let me just get back to you on the scheduling on
Yeah,
that one. Yeah.
would be, thanks, Joshua.
All right. Anything else from the group?
No, otherwise we're pretty good here, thanks.
All right. So thank you very much, guys, for today's session. We will keep in touch tomorrow. I would still be there tomorrow to guide you if you do you have any questions and for the configuration review in the time that you're doing the configuration. And if you happen to have questions, I will be there in the call. All right. So we'll keep in touch through the updates tonight. And thank you very much for today, guys. You have a good day.
Super, thanks, Joshua. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.